Oh, was you thinking that? Oh, banter, Liverpool.
Some banter, natural banter. Football lovers unite. Did you enjoy the advert you just watched previously? The best place to watch football goals, Gillette. Then a man just shaving for no reason.
Oh, yeah! Welcome to Comments Below. My name's Poet.
David Vujanic.
And we're here to read your comments out that you've left below the video, in fact. Not this actual video, but the one from last week.
So look at them.
Can you see them?
Look at the comments. Oh, so over 1,000 again.
Again?
2,000.
Thank you so much, people. We go through your comments, we read them, and we have we have a quick fire round.
Football lovers, I'm joking.
And then we have an epic moment in the show where somebody says,
comment of the week.
In like some different language, because we do it in languages now.
But first comment.
Mohammed Mike has said, what do you think of Neymar? Will he be good in the Premier League?
No one cares about Neymar. No one.
No one cares, but they care about the next part. It says, I don't think so. And by the way, you should do comments below more often.
Guess what?
What?
Mohammed Mike? It's going to happen. From next week, we're going to be on your YouTube screens, not once a week, twice a week. Double the trouble, double the fun, more commenting for you. Why don't you leave us some suggestions about new segments? You know, what could we throw in that you'd love to see us do?
What do you want to see? What do you want to see from us?
What do you want from us?
What do you want?
You know what I think would be really great? Because we love the whole interaction stuff with like the comments and stuff.
100%.
It'd be kind of sick if like, you know, like on transfer deadline day, like the clubs are going crazy, you know, probably their phones are popping off, the fax machines. It's like the whole nuts, the crazy, like Wall Street. It's like crazy.
So what do you want? What do you want?
Like a fax machine there, like just to be there, and then like during the episode while we're talking, like we get a fax. We take out the fax and then we're just like, we can read it out and be like, oh look, Jermaine Pennant has sent us one from prison. No, I'm like, oh look, Kim Jong from North Korea said. I've seen what you've been saying about me.
Oh no! Well, we're going to be here for twice a week as from next week, so please make sure you let us know exactly what you want. Yeah, we'll be able to provide it for you as long as we feel it's suitable.
Next comment! Rafu97. What do you think of Canio becoming Sunderland boss, and can he lead them to safety? First things first, before the whole safety thing.
Yeah.
Let's just clear up the whole fascist, racist thing.
Should we though?
I don't think we should.
Like, should we really go and talk about him being a fascist or potentially being a racist when John Terry can just sleep with anyone's missus? It's all forgiven and forgotten. I saw a programme about Ryan Giggs the other day. I was thinking, oh my God, do you mean they've forgiven him for sleeping with his brother's wife for 8 years? Oh Lord, he's now a public hero.
I just hate the fact that they've brought up this whole racism, fascism shenanigans when he became Sunderland boss.
I kind of hate.
He was Swindon boss.
No one gave a shit.
No one cared. So what? Sunderland's more valued. Like what? When you the higher you go up the tier, it matters more what your beliefs are.
Unfortunately,
if his beliefs are he's a fascist, then can you be a fascist? But if he's not proactively engaging in like I don't know, like not allowing black people to play, then he's a bot. Like he has his beliefs. Let him have his beliefs.
But as long as it doesn't interfere with his work, it's not a problem.
With his work, it's cool.
Do you know what I hate about the British media?
Look at Terry.
That's what I'm saying. Terry and Giggs are forgiven. No, Suarez is still scrutinised for it though. Suarez always still. I feel like if you're not from Britain, you're just going to be scrutinised for one mistake for the rest of your life.
We live in a very hypocritical country.
Oh, definitely.
Where anything that is British is forgiven very easily.
Yeah.
Anything that's slightly foreign or whatnot, let's you know, lynch them. Media lynching process.
Doesn't make any sense.
The Serbian racist incidents, for example. I mean, if you mention Serbia now to me, they're like, oh, you're the racist people. I mean, if I go to fucking Newcastle, you'll probably get abused. Which
probably. I have. You have. And I enjoyed it. You know, why? Because I forgive you because you're the British culture.
But you know, it's funny how in the UK we'll say small section. But if it happens in another country, it's
all of them. Everyone there. Every single person there is racist.
The whole nation. But Canio, can you lead them to safety?
I believe Canio can, because I feel like as Canio being your boss, you're more likely to play for Canio.
So you can lead him to safety.
Yeah, I feel like he has the ability to.
Let's leave him alone, man. The whole fascist thing. If he brings it up again and he's like, no, I don't like Sol Campbell because he's black, then it's like, cool.
Yeah.
Canio piss off. But
I mean, if you're going to scrutinise him, just scrutinise John Terry every day in the paper. Do you not scrutinise everyone that's doing something wrong in the world of football? Let's just get on everyone.
Let's scrutinise evenly. But what do you think of the Canio situation? What do you think? Do we scrutinise evenly? Is it fair when we do scrutinise? Should we scrutinise more? Should we leave him alone? It's the Premier League. Should we allow people to have this opinion and And, you know, I don't know. As long as they don't do anything about it, then it's cool. Or, you know, it is the Premier League, so we should totally eradicate it and we should set an example, and people like that shouldn't be in the game at all.
Are you happy with that, Sunderland fans? Are you happy that he's manager? Leave comments, let us know.
Next comment!
All right, this one's from George Rodriguez.
So do you guys think Juve can come back at home after getting killed by Bayern?
If you mean, are they going to come back from the 2-0 defeat and hopefully, I don't know, get to 3-0 and go through? No. I just feel like Bayern are like a machine.
They are a machine.
They're a machine. Like, everything is so well put together. Like, even if one player was to get injured, and I believe it, what's his name? Is it Thomas Kroos is injured? Tony Kroos. Tony Kroos is injured.
Processing plants.
Yeah, like...
You know, when it's like...
That's how it is.
It's like a sweatshop. Like, one worker dies, replace him.
They've won the league already in Germany, so therefore, realistically, their minds are no longer on the league anyway. It's like we're just free to focus on the Champions League.
Yeah. They're that guy, though, Thomas Müller, who's like an outlier of the machine. He doesn't really fit the prototype of a Bayern player, which is like short, technical. He's just kind of lanky, but he just scores goals.
Awkward.
He reminds me of me.
Yeah.
So he's got his position, and like, you know, he just kind of finds space, and he's always just there. They're those players that are just there. He's made a name for it. So this name he's given himself is Ramdeuter.
And in English, obviously, that means...
Space Investigator.
Which lets me know he's a nerd. Because, like, I don't think anyone who's genuinely cool will ever say anything like that.
I scored a Space Investigator.
Oh, are you? Oh, no good. Müller just, Müller's like one of them players, doesn't really make a massive contribution in the game, but he's always at the right place at the right time. Ljungberg, another player, reminds me of Sigurdsson for Spurs now. Just always there. Like, I don't really know what they do in 90 minutes. They just work hard and they score goals, which is always a good thing.
Good thing. Why don't you leave some comments about the game, what's going on? You tell us, who do you think is going to win?
I honestly believe that Bayern are going to go through.
I mean,
we made predictions, remember? And I think our predictions are pretty good so far.
Are they?
Yeah, we said Bayern are going through, and it looks like Bayern are going through. We said Real Madrid are going through, and I'll tell you what, Shisha was really upset the other day. Dortmund and Malaga is 0-0, so it's kind of in Dortmund's favour because the second...
PSG, I said PSG, you said Barca.
I said Barca, but it's kind of in Barca's favour.
PSG could have had him, though.
Could have.
Didn't go in, though, did it? So leave your comments about the Champions League games. While we sit in our chairs in Hackney, KSI is actually at the game, so make sure to check that out when it comes out. Tom Deacon was at the first leg, so make sure to check that out as well on the channel. Here's a little sneak preview.
Lots of people can't handle that bass. It makes them really ill.
Me, Tom Deacon, has travelled to the big place, Munich!
Oh, okay. That was Tom at the first leg. Look out for KSI at the second leg. Next comment.
From Project Septimus. Project Septimus has said, tell me your guys' thoughts on Joey Barton calling Thiago Silva an overrated Brazilian and a fat boy. You called him a lady boy as well. Joey Barton's just like, you know that troublemaker in your team? Like, that's who he is. Like, he knows you're good, but he might just be like, yeah, but, you know, you got a dodgy hairstyle.
I love this word, but I just think he's a troll.
Troll?
He trolls on purpose. Like, he went to the interviews and he does them in a French accent in English. He's like, the game was good. And he's just taking the piss. We said it before in previous episodes. We need people like Joey to just fuck up the bass.
Because you know what?
Because this is the bass.
The beauty about Joey Barton is there's more people out there like Joey, but he's like the bravest person to just come forward and be like, yeah, this is who I am. I'm so comfortable with my well-being. Cool. Joey, keep doing it, man. Slagging people off,
Naughty.
But to be fair, I mean, Thiago Silva is a very good centre-back. I remember Van Persie saying that's the hardest defender he's played against. I remember when we lost 4-0 to them, it was just embarrassing.
He was hard.
He was really, really, really good. He's moved to PSG because of money, because obviously that's what football does now. Everyone's just forgot about the reason why they actually picked up football in the first place. Won the quickfire round.
Oh shit, let me do something quick-fiery.
Go on then.
Quickfire round.
If you didn't realise we're on a quickfire round, this is the part of the show where...
Now you do, it's the quickfire round. Sorry.
This is the part of the show, a very awkward moment, where David takes a phone from his anus.
Oh, my anus. Phone.
It's almost like prison. In the traditional gladiators form, we go to count down from the number 3 to a number 1. And where David will then go through the comments and we'll try and answer them as quickly as we can. The record's 21. So we're going to try and beat that.
Yeah.
Do you believe we can?
Yeah. I'm just licking my lips at the audience.
Do you know what I had Vaseline?
You know what I hate, guys? Dry lips. How many of you licked your lips after that?
Yeah, I know, I've done it myself.
No, let's get on the show.
The record is 21. 3, 2, 1!
Guy on the right, what the fuck is going on with your skinny right thigh? We're malnourished.
Yeah,
Poet, what do you think about Arsenal's great form? Do you still think they can make Champions League?
Always.
They can. Do you think Mario Götze will leave Dortmund?
Yes.
Probably. Do you think Lowton's goal against Stoke should be goal of the season? If not, who should win goal of the season?
That's goal of the season.
I don't know. David, can you do a comments below? It's Bricker. No. Torres is back, baby. He's never back. He's shit. Who is the FIFA player?
You.
I can't tell. It's a secret. Why is Arsenal Wenger still at Arsenal? He's quite a consistent manager, top 4 all the time. Talk about Newcastle. You never have.
We just did.
Demba Ba should. I don't know. Why does everyone hate Aaron Ramsey until recently? Wenger kept putting him in the right wing, but obviously he wasn't playing well. I don't know why they hate him. If you could be any player in the world, who would it be and what match would you want to play? Pele.
Canio.
Guys, you're a fan of the FIFA player. No, Poet, why do you always say 1, 2, 3 in such a weird accent?
I explained
Pjanic, is it fun being half toothbrush? Just, my hair's cool. Gerrard or Lampard?
Wilshere.
None of them. Why are Tottenham so good?
Lies.
They just lost. Why so keen on quick fire around Pjanic? Because you have to be keen. Yes, badminton finally gets a mention. Badminton! Philip Coutinho or Oscar Coutinho. I support Reading. What do you think? They'll stay up.
Shut up! Shut up! Oh, fuck.
I feel like my week has just gone to ruin.
I don't really care about much in life.
I care about this though, man.
But for some strange reason, I have an emotional attachment to this.
The quick fire round, man. Play sad music.
Yeah. This is the sad music they play. I feel like it's such an underachiever. I feel like my GCSEs all over again.
Depression aside.
We are at a beautiful moment, only known as...
Komen Hoidawas!
That was in Somalian. Now, if we've got it wrong, I would like to apologise. But this is the comment of the week, and it's pretty good. It's from Tankswick Shay HD, which is obviously a very, very peculiar name. If you could bring back a player that used to play for Arsenal or Liverpool, who would it be?
Igor Biscan. I'm joking, not him. Shit.
I would say I would add to this sentence and why. So who would you bring back and why would you bring him back, Mr. David?
Now, I was going to go for Jabi Alonso. But Jabi Alonso is a great player, but for some reason, I don't know, this is going to be a bit of an interesting choice, but I was going to say Torres. I have a feeling if he came back, it would just be like, come on, baby, light my fire. It would just be really good, like him and Suarez bonding. Suarez needs a quality man. Whoa. No, but honestly, I think Torres would be great back at Liverpool. I feel Anfield suits him. It's something about that ground that he used to just fit in, man.
He had a good relationship with Gerrard as well.
Gerrard, it really worked, and then you left for the money, man. Yeah, but come back, feel free to come back, man. I think you'd be great. What do you guys think? Any Liverpool fans, who do you think we should get back? But I think Torres or Alonso, but probably Torres.
Me? Well, I was going to say Nicolas Anelka, but he went for the money. I was then going to say Nasri, but he went for the money. I was then going to say RVP, but he went for the money. I was then going to say Song, but he went for the money. And then I was going to say Hleb, but he went for the money.
For the bread.
There's so many for the bread. All right, a conventional one would be Thierry Henry, but he's old now. I don't think he'd make much of an impact if he came back.
You should see his goal again in the weekend, and you should have seen his overhead kick. Ball came to him, and he controlled it with the instep, and it flicked up, and he was like, overhead kick, and it just went wide. But the class is still there, man.
Well, I would bring back Cesc Fabregas. For the simple fact that I feel if we had a midfield that consisted of Cesc, Wilshere, and maybe one quality DM, I honestly believe, I don't know what team in the Premiership would be able to deal with, to compete with us. I mean, we'd have Arteta for now, and have Arteta, Wilshere, and Cesc, and then if you had Cafolo out wide and we signed in another good quality right winger, you're looking at a really strong midfield in opposed to Ramsey. I think I'd bring back Cesc Fabregas. He definitely loved the club. I mean,
so much so that he left.
So much so that he left, but he went back home, to be fair. Yeah. But I feel like, he was genuine. I mean, I was there on the final day, when the final day we said goodbye to everyone, and it was the fans day where the fans come in and see the players train at the Emirates, and literally we could tell from then he was leaving because he just went to the crowd and he was saying thank you for your support to everyone. But if you're gonna leave, that was the most sincere way I've seen someone leave Arsenal, and I've seen a lot of people leave Arsenal.
We're gonna finish. I being David, you be
confused, as well as Poet. Everyone, remember, can't shout, but badge up. Keep badging up. We hashtag badge up.
I'll badge up eventually.
Please.
But keep leaving your comments. Keep subscribing. Keep liking. Follow us on Twitter. Hashtag comments below. Thanks, guys. Thanks for watching.
Woo! Yes, I think he's going to like this.